Good morning, everyone. My group is conformed by Lady Pérez, who's speaking, Yuly González, and today we're going to talk about some teaching methods. Let's start with the learner-centered method, which is a method that views learners as active agents. They bring their own knowledge, past experience, education, and ideas, and all this will impact on how they take on board new information and learn. Some advantages of this method are the following. So, number one, it improves participation. This method will ensure a personalized environment, which means that the class will be adjusted to the students' needs. Number two, it improves retention of knowledge. And this method will shift the focus from a traditional way of learning, which was focused on a theoretical knowledge. Instead, in this type of class, we're going to use a lot of engaging material, which will be which will help learners to retain more knowledge as opposite to the traditional way of learning. Number three, boost performance at work. And a typical learner-centered method will have a lot of scenarios, case studies, role plays, activities, everything. And by using this, learners are going to be more likely to apply their learning at work, leading to improve on the job performance. Number four, develops problem-solving skills. As I said before, this type of method will include a lot of activities such as games, quizzes, and even challenges. And this kind of training will develop problem solving skills, which is very useful when learners encounter a similar problem or situation at their work or in their daily life. Number five, fosters collaborative learning. Um, in this method, teachers usually encourage their students to talk with each other, to uh, learn from each other, and well, in other words, this approach not only encourage collaboration, but also fosters teamwork. Number six, makes learning more fun. As I said before, again, this method will use a lot of activities, and well, every class is going to be different. The idea is to make the topics more interesting and easy to learn. And this way, with the use of these elements, learning is not longer going to be perceived as boring and as monotonous as it usually is. Number seven, it facilitates personalized learning. Well, in a traditional class, we see that teachers treat each student on the same way. But the reality is that not all students are going to learn on the same way, and for that reason, they cannot be treated on the same way. For example, one student um, is going to learn easy some topic, but other student is not going to have is not going to be the same with another student. That is why with this method it advises to use a lot of extra material to change the methodology and see which is better for um, for students. And yeah, well, let's continue with the next part. All right, let's continue with some activities of this method. I have a few. I'm going to explain some, but not all of them, just the most important ones. So the first one, foster collaboration with group projects. In this type of activity, it's recommended that the teacher will only be offering advice and encouragement where necessary, rather than just be lecturing their students. Um, let learners develop content. It's a good idea and it encourages creativity. If you let your students to make or start a forum, make videos or podcast, and that will also be helpful if you want to know the points of view of each learner. And now, stage presentation. um, this is very useful when you want your students to improve their self-esteem and to be more confident when participating, because you're going to make them speak in public, and that eventually will make them be be more relaxed when speaking in public. Um, we also have hold a competition, hold a debate, gamify learning. Gamify learning. Well, games are a great way to add an element of fun to the learning environment, especially if you're working on virtual environment as we are now. If you create games online, it's very helpful if you want your students to be engaged during the whole class. We also have to role play and finally brainstorm. And yeah, that is all about this method.
Okay, I'm Leidy, and let's continue with talking about the method. So in this case, is learning center method. But what is it? So this method is also known active learning or self-managed learning and learning center method. So in this part, the decisions are made with a specific reference to the kind of learning that is desired, and strategies are chosen because they are the most likely to support the kind of learning. Okay, some strategies that the teacher has taken into account is, for example, they has to prepare the class session very well, or also having patience, which leads to veer truths into the class, all the session. Also, with help all this, the teacher can see the learning process as it's a course during into the class. Okay, the role of the teacher is motivates and guides, maximize and evaluate student learning. That say that the learning process is collaborate and of share responsibility between teacher and a student, right? Okay. Some active learning method is, for example, the teacher asks a student to make presentation to the class, or asks a student question. It's necessary open-end questions, provide and evaluate question. Because students learn better, and they can express and articulate their individual ideas, right? In this method, type of learning focus on various fields such as student-centered learning. So in this part, student-centered learning often involves choosing a topic as well as completing an activity, right? Also, another type of learning is virtual learning environments and resource-based learning. The teacher promote access to course material after hours. That to say, the teacher give some extra material for a student can improve your process learning, right? Also, the difference is problem-based learning. in this part, learning that stems from understanding, analyzing, and solve a particular problem. Or other type of learning is case-based learning, where a student has to choose to choose research for and after that they have to develop, express, think hypotheses, ideas about the topic of researchers. So also and that's one type of learning is about okay is how students through games, simulation, and role play can be can they can improve their learning of each student, right? That to say, in learning center method is learning is active, also self-managed learning. That is the focus on learning, right? And we can show that the process of the acquisition of relevant knowledge for today's student has changed. Okay, that is. I'm gonna. Okay, we are continuing with language center method.
Okay, so finally we have the language-centered method. But what is that? Well, we found that language learning is just a process of mechanical habit formation through repetition. In here we found three categories. The first one, theoretical assumption. It says that a planned preoccupation with linguistic system of the target language will automatically lead to communicative use. It also says that language learning is largely intentional. So your teachers will adjust the whole class according to the type of topic that they want that their students to learn. Organizational pattern. Pre-select items explicitly focusing on grammar and vocabulary. And number three, classroom procedure. It says activities that help learners to practice and to demonstrate linguistic knowledge, ability, induce intentional learning, as it was said in the first category. So my partner Leidy is going to continue with the following topic.
Okay, some features. The language center method is based on the behaviorins and structuralisms. So the main methodology is the audiolingual method because, how do you remember? The audiolingual method is a method of foreign language teaching, which emphasizes the teaching of listening and speaking before reading and writing. Right? So, in this case, in this method, the teacher sees necessary, it's taught something taking into account the context, right? Or how learned your students. Anyways, depend of the context. Okay, also the class is not are not personalized because the teacher taught the same and equally for everybody, right? So in this method is important imitation, repetition, because this exercise improve or help to a student, helps to a student to improve the learning, in this case language or vocabulary. That is language intermediate. So also is intrinsic with the memorization and employing of the grammar structure. How I said, it is important that part for that is improve the language of each student.
And that's all. Thanks for your attention.